Let us now discuss circles. Theorems on central angles, arcs and chords, and arc addition postulate. Our learning objectives are: first, derives inductively the relations among chords, arcs, central angles, and inscribed angles. Second, proves theorems related to chords, arcs, central angles, and inscribed angles. Theorems on central angles, arcs, and chords. Theorem number 1. In a circle or in congruent circles, two minor arcs are congruent if and only if their corresponding central angles are congruent. For example, in this given, we have circle E and circle I. It is said that if circle E is congruent to circle I and angle set is congruent to angle neo and also congruent to angle B, then we can now conclude that arc TS or ST is congruent to arc NO and arc BG. Here's the proof. Number 1, statement. Again, it is said that circle E is congruent to circle I, and angle set is congruent to angle B, and that is the given. Next, number 2, statement. In circle E, the measure of angle set is congruent to the measure of arc ST. Kasi intercepted arc ni TES or set CST. Then, in circle I, the measure of angle B is also congruent to the measure of arc BG. So, what is the reason behind that? So, that is based on the degree measure of a minor arc is the measure of the central angle which intercepts the arc. Next, number 3. The measure of angle set is equal to the measure of angle B. Why? So, because that is based on the definition of congruent circles. Number 4, statement. That the measure of arc ST is also equal to the measure of arc BG. Ito po yun. So, that is the substitution. And then, in number 5, we can now conclude that arc ST is congruent to arc BG. And that is also based to the definition of congruent arcs. Theorem number 2. In a circle or congruent circles, two minor arcs are congruent if and only if their corresponding chords are congruent. Kung nung una, ang unang theorem ay two minor arcs are congruent if their corresponding angles are congruent, dito naman ang tinitingnan natin ay ang chords. Given the two congruent circles, circle T and circle N, and two congruent minor arcs, which is AB and OE, we have to prove that chord AB is congruent to chord OE. Let us list down the given statements and reason. Number 1. It is said that circle T is congruent to circle N. And chord AB is also congruent to chord OE. And that is the given. Number 2. TA is congruent to TB and also congruent to NO and congruent to NE. Ito yun. TA is congruent to TB. NE is congruent to NO. Yan. The reason, radii of the same circle or of congruent circles are congruent. Yung pinag-aralan natin kanina. Next, it is said that triangle ATB is congruent to triangle ONE. Ito yun. The reason, SSS postulate. Then, number 4, we can say that angle ATB is congruent to angle ONE kasi same triangle din sila. Ito po yun. And the reason, the corresponding parts of congruent triangles are congruent, or the CPCTC. Then, last one, we can now conclude that arc AB is congruent to arc OE. Nasaan yung arc AE? AB. So, yun. Is congruent to arc OE. And that is from the previous theorem. No? In a circle or in congruent circles, two minor arcs are congruent if and only if their corresponding central angles are congruent. That's theorem number 2. Theorem number 3. In a circle, a diameter bisects a chord and an arc with the same endpoints if and only if it is perpendicular to a chord. Meaning to say, if there is a diameter and a chord, tapos na-bisect niya yung chord, ibig sabihin, nahati niya sa gitna, may mabubuo na perpendicular. So, pag sinabing perpendicular, the measure is 90 degrees. So, let's have an example. This circle U. In circle U, we observe that there is a diameter. The diameter is line ES. That is the diameter. And then, there is a chord GN. Then, the line ES bisects line GN. Kaya nagkaroon ka ng perpendicular dyan. So, nahati siya into two equal parts. So, if ES bisects GN, then we can now conclude that line GI is equal to IN. Ito po yun. Ang GI daw ay equal sa IN. So, what will be the measure of GI? That will be the measure of IN. Kung ito ay 4, automatic 4 yun. Okay? Then, we can also conclude that what will be the measure of arc GE is also congruent to arc EN. So, kung ano yung measure nito ng GE, yun din ang measure ng EN. So that is theorem number 3. Let us discuss arc addition postulate. It is said that the measure of an arc formed by two adjacent arcs is the sum of the measures of two arcs. So, for example, this given. So, there is circle E. Circle E. As you observe, merong dalawang central angle na nabuo. Actually, tatlo yan. So, angle LEO, ito yun. And angle OEV. But the focus of this postulate is the arc or the measure of an arc. It is said that, ito yung OEV. So, it is said that if you're going to get the measure of arc, ang intercepted arc ng LEO ay LO. Measure of arc LO plus the measure of arc OV, then that will be the measure of arc LOV. Arc LOV. So let's have an example. For example, arc LO is 71 degrees. Arc OV is 84 degrees. So, what will be the measure of arc LOB? Kung ang LO ay 71 at ang OV, arc OV ay 84, get the sum to get the measure of arc LOV. So, 71 plus 84, the answer is 155. So, LOB is 155 degrees. Now, let us get what will be the measure of arc LV. Yung nasa labas, LV. So, again, diba, the total measure of a circle ay 360 degrees. So, given yung LOB, which is 155, let us subtract 360 minus 155. 360 minus 155 is 205 degrees. That is LV. Or arc LV. Then, applying the central angle, if we will going to get the central angle or measure of central angle, ito ay 205, diba? Degrees. So, ito ay 205 degrees din. Etong nasa loob na LEO is 71 din. And then, yung nasa loob din ay 84 din. Kasi ano yung ating given diyan? What will be the measure of the central angle? That will be the measure of the intercepted arc, or what will be the measure of the intercepted arc? That is also the measure of the central angle. For your references, you can use the grade 10 Depth and LM module unit 2 and grade 10 pivot 4A LM quarter 2, and special credits to slides go for these slides or PowerPoint template.